I will call to order the January 4th, 2023 City of Fishers Plan Commission meeting. I will ask everyone to join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Kay, roll call, please.
Mr. Stewart.
Here.
Mr. Zimmerman.
Here.
Mr. Fain.
Here.
Ms. Logan.
Here.
Mr. Peterson.
Here.
Ms. Stoller.
Here.
Mr. Richards.
Here.
Ms. Lang.
Here.
Mr. Stevenson.
Here.
Thank you.
We do have a quorum to conduct business this evening. We have the approval of the December 7th, 2022 minutes. Any comments, questions?
I'll make a motion to approve.
And before we vote, I will recuse myself from voting. I was not present for that meeting.
It was a 7-minute meeting, Howard. It was awesome.
So we set a record there. We won't break that record tonight, though. I'll entertain a motion at this point.
I already made it and it was seconded.
We have a motion and a second. Kay, roll call, please. Thank you.
Mr. Stewart.
Aye.
Mr. Zimmerman.
Aye.
Mr. Fain.
Aye.
Ms. Logan.
Aye.
Mr. Peterson.
Yes.
Ms. Stoller.
Aye.
Mr. Richards.
Aye.
Ms. Lang.
Aye.
Mr. Stevenson. Abstained. Thank
Th-
you.
Thank you. We have an approval of the minutes. Our first agenda item today is RZ 22-8 Cynthia Woods. Rick Lawrence is requesting consideration of a rezone of 41.45 acres from Planned Unit Development Commercial, PUDC, Creekside Shops to Planned Unit Development Residential, PUDR, for a 61-unit residential subdivision to be known as Cynthia Woods, generally located on the southeast corner of 136th Street and Cynthia. And we have Bree King here to present on behalf of the staff. Thank you.
Hello, esteemed ladies and gentlemen of the Plan Commission. Welcome to the first meeting of the year. As stated, I am here to present for Planning and Zoning on behalf of RZ 22-8, which will be known as Cynthia Woods if approved at council. Here you can see the location highlighted in blue on your screen. It is the southeast corner of 136th Street and Cynthia Road. It is currently annexed into the city at this time. Here you can see the location, once again, a little closer in that blue rectangle there. I would like to pay special attention to the surrounding properties. So to the north, you have PUDC, where commercial development is permitted. And then around the subject property, you have Barrington Estates, Britton Falls, and Hunter's Run, which are all single-family subdivisions. This is to show you the current zoning of the property and the immediate surroundings. So gray in this photo represents PUDs. So we have the PUD itself in that blue rectangle, and then you have the residential PUD of Britton Falls to the south, and then you as well have a few properties in yellow that are zoned R2, which is a residential zoning. Here we have an excerpt from the Fishers 2040 plan. As you can see, this property has a few different expected planned uses. So the pink at the northern part of the property is Neighborhood Service Center. On the southern portion of the property, that green is estate residential. And then it's a little difficult to see, but if you can tell, that hashed green following the creek is our open space overlay. The proposed development is residential, which is similar in nature to the estate residential that is planned for that southern half of the property. However, as you'll see in future images, this development is proposing to save that portion of the property and dedicate it to the city to be preserved as green space, and rather build the 61 units on the northern portion of that property. So the comprehensive plan still shows the potential for commercial rezones and development on the southeast and the southwest corner of 136th and Cynthian. Despite that, commercial uses are allowed in that area. No commercial development has occurred since 2008 when that was originally permitted. I'm going to give you a brief overview of the PUD standards itself. So they are requesting a decrease in their lot size, frontage, setbacks, and impervious area standards from what the UDO would require. However, they are providing greater building floor area, higher architectural standards that were recently, as of about an hour ago, approved at PUD committee. And they're also dedicating that large amount of open space to the city for future use, and will be using native landscaping as well as a natural pond edge, which is exciting from an ecological perspective. Now, for the moment you've been waiting for, here is the concept plan. So you can see the homes on the northern portion. There are 61, so they have an access off Cynthian and then a secondary emergency access at the far north. The south will be dedicated to city once again, so you can see that lovely creek, and it will definitely be beneficial. The underlining zoning district for this PUD will be the R5 zoning district, found in the city's Unified Development Ordinance, except as modified by this PUD. I also want to highlight once again the ecological aspect. So they will be doing that native pond edge around their detention pond, which helps with erosion control as well as habitat retention, and providing native species for their plantings. Here is an elevation type view of what the development will look like. So you can see it is quite unique. We don't have another neighborhood in Fishers that looks like this, which is very exciting. All future permits, such as the ILP and platting, will require approval by the Technical Advisory Committee process. At first reading at City Council, it was recommended that these rear elevations be beefed up just a little bit. So the petitioner has worked with staff and will be adding an additional architectural feature to these rear elevations to really just perfect what staff already likes. The developer has been very proactive in meeting with residents in this area, which is very much appreciated. So they held a series of public meetings with the surrounding neighborhoods and provided staff with a list of their comments, as well as addressing the comments in the meetings themselves. Frequent comments included density, the demographic of the home buyers, open space and tree preservation, the general amount of development occurring around the city, and a desire for commercial uses. The developer will address these in his comments. I do feel like we have addressed those, but feel free to ask questions if you have any. I have not received any public comments for this case. However, on December 28th, a resident of Britton Falls did stop in asking about the tree preservation area. Staff does recommend that we send a favorable recommendation to City Council, as this project does align with the Fishers 2040 vision, and the proposed use fits the character of the area. I'll now turn it over to the petitioner.
Thank you.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Rick Lawrence. I'm an attorney with Nelson & Frankenberger in Carmel, Indiana. With me here tonight are Jesse Pullman with William Trace LLC, John Dobashewitz, a land use professional, Todd Pyatt, and Paul Clare with Pyatt Homes. I'm going to thank Bree for the introduction that she did with our project. I thought it was good, but I wanted to go over a couple more items and see if you guys had any questions after that. As Bree stated, this parcel is about 40 acres. It's located south of 146th Street on the east side of Cynthian Road. This shows a close-up of that site. There is a parcel to the north of us, which is agricultural. Currently, our parcel is agricultural. We're surrounded on the east by Barrington Estates and Britton Falls, to the south by Britton Falls, and then to the west across Cynthian Road by Hunter's Run. And as Bree had indicated, we did outreach to all three of those neighborhoods. We met with the board of directors for Barrington Estates. We had a meeting at Britton Falls Clubhouse with about 60 residents. And then we tried to work with Zoom and allow the Hunters Run residents to ask questions as they came up in the discussion. As Bree indicated, the proposal is for 61 for-sale, single-family residences. This shows the concept plan of that of the proposed development. We wanted to point out that this proposal is a unique product for Fishers and unique product for the Indianapolis area. As we'll get into some of these elevations, the development of this proposal on the northwest corner of the property allows for a denser community, but it goes with the design that we've proposed for this to provide a unique streetscape and unique setback, and we'll show you that here in a second. What this also allows us to do is to concentrate the density in this corner, allowing us to dedicate, and this is put out in the PUD, set out in the PUD, about 25 acres to the city for a city park or other greenway improvements as the city feels might be necessary. These are the typical lot layouts. You'll see that one of the houses, they alternate, and sometimes people will call these a zipper lot because they kind of fold in together. One house, the garage is in the front of the house, but it's still offset from the front porch about 5 feet. And the next house, the garage will be in the back of the house. And this provides some sort of unique streetscape, and I'll show you elevations here in a second. But it also provides outdoor areas where these neighbors and homeowners can congregate with their families or with the neighbors. These are character exhibits showing the homes. As you can see, there's the garages towards the front, there's the garages towards the back as you look through these character exhibits. Very high architecture. We're meeting almost all of the architectural requirements as noted in the UDO. We've also shown as Exhibit D to the PUD ordinance, enhanced garage doors. We had a request from some of the council members and staff to address that. And while it's not one of these exhibits to show it on the screen, we have put exhibits showing windows and other hardware, which goes beyond, I believe, what the UDO requires. Again, more character exhibits of what these homes will look like. The exhibit now before you are the rear of the homes. Bree had alluded to an increased architectural feature where the garages are in the back. We're going to add windows to break up that wall a little bit. But with that said, we believe that these rear elevations, which will be along Cynthia Ann Road, do look a lot like front elevations and provide a very nice view from Cynthia Ann Road for passerbys. The top exhibit is an aerial view of a product that's as built over at 146th and River Road in the Legacy. So that's how they factor out, as you can see. The middle view are renderings, and then the bottom view is another aerial drone view. And you can see how the back and forth set out the homes and allow you to have areas for kids to play or to congregate. One thing I wanted to point out that came up in the PUD committee with regard to the setbacks and the distance between the buildings. The PUD has it written that there's 10 feet between the buildings. So the building itself cannot be closer than 10 feet. However, there's a 1 foot setback, meaning in the situation where the garage abuts the driveway, that would be limited to 1 foot, but the buildings themselves are not going to be closer than 10 feet. We've done that to try to eliminate some of the issues that have come up in discussions with council members and staff regarding drainage. We've taken special care to note that the masonry and the hardy plank will not have issues as vinyl siding would with mildew growth. We don't plan on, putting in sprinkler systems on these side yards, and the drainages will be connected so that it flows out of that area down to the rear swale. With that said, if you guys have any questions, we'll be happy to answer those, and otherwise we would request a favorable recommendation to the council. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Lawrence. Board members, any questions or comments for Mr. Lawrence? Seeing none, I will open the, do you have a question, Pete?
No.
Yeah, I'll open the public hearing at this point. If there's anyone here present who would like to address the commission regarding this matter, please approach the podium and share with us your name and your address and the remarks related to this petition. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Any further questions or comments from the board? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Motion for favorable recommendation of City Council.
We have a motion.
Second. Oh, go ahead.
We have a motion and a second. Kay, roll call, please.
Mr. Stewart.
Aye.
Mr. Zimmerman.
Aye.
Mr. Fain.
Aye.
Ms. Logan. Mr. Peterson.
Yes.
Ms. Stoller. Mr. Richards.
Aye.
Ms. Lang. And Mr. Stevenson.
Yes, the motion does carry.
Thank you for your time this evening, and we tried to get it under 7 minutes, but I guess we didn't.
I won't hold that against you. I will just say I do appreciate the dedication of the approximate 25 acres being dedicated to the city and that open space for use, for future use. Thank you. Our next agenda item is TA-22-38 UDO text amendment. It's a consideration of a text amendment to various sections of the Unified Development Ordinance to clean up language discrepancies.
Yes, good evening, Megan Vuksich, Director of Planning and Zoning. So this is another UDO cleanup ordinance before you all. So what our staff does throughout the year, when we go through our permit reviews, all the way from a new home to a new subdivision or a new commercial building, we identify discrepancies in the code or things that need clarified that maybe, especially for new staff coming in, that aren't clear. And so we're constantly trying to update the standards to make sure that they are readable to even, a resident who may be looking at what zoning requirements apply to their lot. And so this is all of the revisions that our staff suggested for 2022, and we're bringing them before you for City Council approval in January.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board?
The only comment I got is good job. I mean, I read through all those changes, and they all seem very easy to make and very relative.
It's very technical, so I appreciate you reading through them all.
Great. At this time, I'll open the public hearing. If there's anyone here to address this matter, please.
Don't get up, Tracy.
Please approach the podium and give us your name and address and your remarks. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing.
We'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion by Pete and a second by Bill. Roll call, please. Kay?
Excuse me. Mr. Stewart. Mr. Zimmerman. Mr. Fain. Ms. Logan. Mr. Peterson.
Yes.
Ms. Stoller. Mr. Richards. Ms. Lang. Mr. Stevenson.
Yes, the motion carries. I don't see any old business to address and staff communications, Megan?
Yes, so I did want to give a presentation on our architectural review requirements moving forward for this year. We just gave this presentation to PUD committee, so Pete and Howard, I apologize because you're going to see the same images. But staff recently did an analysis of the remainder land that we have